Hello everyone. Yeah. So in the last session, we understand what is advanced Java and which applications we can able to build by using advanced Java, right? So by using advanced Java concepts like JDBC, servlets, HTML, we can able to build web applications. We can able to build web applications. We will build web applications. We will build web applications. Examples like Facebook, Google, Twitter, any banking applications, e-commerce, insurance, etc. Transport, telecommunication, telecom, all such applications we can able to build, all such applications we can able to build by using advanced Java, servlets and JDBC. Okay. By using advanced Java, servlets and JDBC, we can able to build web applications like Facebook, Google, Twitter, banking, any e-commerce, insurance, or transport, telecommunication, anything. And the main important concepts are here. As I mentioned above, we learn about JDBC, we learn about JDBC, we learn about servlets, we will learn about basics of HTML and about servers and basic architecture. Okay, first thing is first, we will discuss about MVC architecture. We'll discuss about MVC architecture. For any concepts, right, from advanced Java onwards, any concepts we need to apply to MVC architecture and learn. This is the simple way. This is one tip also, okay? This is one tip for you, MVC architecture. If you understand MVC architecture, easily you can remember all the concepts. Okay, so what is this MVC architecture is all about? What is the use of this MVC architecture? Generally, what is the use of building architecture? If I bring a building architecture from a civil engineer, he will draw everything very neat and clean. This is where you need to put foundation, then you need to put slab, rooms, bathrooms, right? All this he will design properly and give it to us. So if we construct on top of that design, our house looks like good and it is not vulnerable for any earthquakes and all, because he know all the science behind the construction, and he will draw proper architecture which is stable, right? So we can construct by using that architecture so that our application lives long. Same way, I mean our building lives long. Same way, if I follow MVC architecture standards, your application also will live longer, stronger. Okay. So how it will be? Can you prove, sir? Yes. Okay. So MVC stands for Model View Controller. M for model, V for view, C for controller. M, V, C. Model view controller architecture. Model view controller architecture. How many components we have here? One model component, one view component, one controller component. Separate components we have here. In MVC architecture, we divide our code. We divide our code into three separate components. Whichever application you build. Okay, whichever application you build. Okay, web application. Whichever web application you build, we divide our web application into three layers or three components: model, view, controller component. Any application, sir, I want to build a Facebook application, do I need to follow MVC architecture? You need to follow. Sir, I want to build a Twitter kind of application, do I need to follow? Yes, you need to follow. Sir, I want to build a banking applications, do I need to follow? Yes, you need to follow. Same architecture we should follow, model, view, controller architecture. Let me explain very in-depth about it. Let me explain very in-depth about it with a diagrammatic representation. Okay. So as I mentioned, it is having three components. It is having three components. It is having three components. Let me draw three components. So for any application, you will find these three components. Any application you build, you will find these three components. What are they? MVC means model view controller. Model view controller. Here you will see three components. Three components. What are they? Front end is view. View component, which is front end. We call front end. Front end is the view component. And two backend components. Okay, two backend components we have. This is front end. The left hand side is front end. Okay, I am separating it with one blue line. Okay, and this right side one is backend. And in backend we will have controller. In backend we will have controller. In backend we will have controller, and we will have model. In backend, we will have controller and model. What is the purpose of them, sir? View, view anyways, it is having front end code, all your forms, presentations, links, right? All that images, blah, 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 all that front end code you will be having here. So how to code it, sir? How to code it? Yes, to create front ends, we have a lot of technologies, and we will use most of the times HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create front end. Okay, so I created front end, sir. Then what is the purpose of controller? So whichever data wanted to transfer till model layer, that will go via controller. So what is there in the model, sir? Model is consisting of business class and DAO classes. Your business logic for your application. Every application is having a purpose, right? So that application actual purpose logic we will have here. We call it as business logic. And if you want to save your data after business operations, we will connect with the database by using DAO classes, by using DAO, data access object. So it's a simple database class. By using these classes, we are going to connect with the database and save our data finally. Okay. So what is the job of each class? Controller will help here to read data from front end, to read data from front end. To read data from the front end. Controller will help here to read data which is coming from front end. We will write class, sir. Who will write? We only. We only will write these classes. So controller will allow data which is coming from front end, and it will transfer the same data to model. It will transfer same data to model. In model, which class? Business class. Then business class will transfer same data to DAO after business operations. Then DAO will connect with your database, and finally it will store your data into tables. Database consists of tables, views, lot of things. So tables are important for us. So in tables, it will store the data. In tables, it will store the data. From where we are sending this data? From view. In model view controller, so view is the first component. View is the first component. There we will have the front end. So when we submit data from front end, who will receive it? The second component, controller. Controller will read it. Controller will read this data, and it will send this data across to business and DAO. Finally, it will save it into database. Okay, once done with that operation, we will get response back. When we call any method, that method will give return values. So we will get a return value from DAO to business, business to controller. Then finally will controller send you response. Obviously, right? When we use any web application, when we submit any action, we will see response, whether it went success or failure. So how we will understand? Based on the backend response. Okay. So finally, model consists of business and DAO classes, which are consist of business code and database code. Business code and database code resides inside this model layer. Business code and database code. This is how we will separate application logic. Any application you take, this is how we will separate. Sir, banking application, if I take an example, yes. So once you log in, whatever balance screen and all you are seeing, and whatever actions that all you are seeing, you will create that bank UI. Bank front end code you will have here. Bank front end code you will have here. And for that bank, you will have controller. For that bank, you will have model, business classes, DAO classes, databases, all that you will have. All that you will have. Same way, sir, my application is some e-commerce application, same thing. Go anywhere, same style. Go anywhere, same style. Banking front end, instead of banking front end, you will have e-commerce front end. Sir, I want Amazon kind of application, same thing. Amazon application. For that Amazon application required controllers, model. Again, you know, model consists of views, sorry, business. I'm just checking you are alert or not. Okay, business and DAOs. So here we will have views. The front end is different. If I see Amazon front end is different. If I open any banking application, banking front end is different. Obviously, one application to another application, lot of things will change. Lot of things will change. So that is what as a developer we code. That is what as a developer we code for applications. Any application you take, they will have front end, controllers, model. Model contains business, DAOs. This is how logically we will separate our code. Sir, all are Java classes only, na sir? What are they? This is Java class only. All these are Java classes only. In Java only we write them. All are Java classes only. Controllers are Java classes. Your business classes are Java classes. Your DAO classes are Java classes. All are Java classes only. Okay, but we will write them separately. We will write them separately. We will create them separately. Okay, so that your code maintenance is easy. Tomorrow, I wanted to change code in DAO. Only I need to edit the DAO class. Oh, I want to change business logic. So I need to edit only business code. So I need to edit only business code. Sir, I want to change controller logic. So you need to change only controller code. So when I separate any application like this with multiple layers, it is easy to maintain. It is easy to maintain and it is easy to read. Everybody will understand. Everybody will understand. While writing your Java classes for controller, right? We will apply name controller. Let's say if it is registration, we'll write registration controller, registration business, registration DAO, so that when other developers see that, okay, they will understand. Okay, this may be for registration. He mentioned registration controller, so must be there is a logic to read data which is coming from front end, and he created. Okay, he created registration business or registration service. This must be for business code, and registration DAO. You can understand this must be for database code, like JDBC code. We will apply there. Okay, so by following MVC architecture, we will implement any web application. We will implement any web application. Now coming back to our advanced Java concepts, where we will apply in MVC, where we will apply that advanced Java concepts in MVC. Carefully listen where we will apply them. Okay. So whatever HTML we are going to learn. Okay. So as I mentioned here in this concepts, whatever HTML code, whatever HTML we are going to learn here, whatever HTML we are going to learn here, that HTML knowledge will allow you to build view pages. Okay. It will help you to create views. The HTML knowledge will allow you to create view pages. So here we can create forms, simple Ajax calls, all that we can make. Okay, so that HTML will help you here. HTML will help you here to implement which layer? View layer. Okay, what about controller, sir? Are we learning anything for controller? Yes. So we are going to use here which concept for controller? We are going to use which concept for these controllers? We are going to use servlet concepts. We are going to use servlet concepts to implement this controllers. So servlets are the key component. Servlets are the key component for servlets. Servlets are the key components for controller classes. Okay, so using servlets only we will implement controllers. Using servlets only we will implement controllers. Okay, sir, we covered front end, HTML, and back end controllers using servlets. What about model layer, sir? What about model layer and servers? You mentioned servers also, where we need all of them. Okay. Now coming to model layer, coming to model layer, coming to model layer. Coming to model layer, model layer consists of business code and database code. So, okay, for business implementation, what we will use is, sir, here for business code, you can use simple core Java. Simple core Java concept is enough to implement all your arithmetics, right? You can use simple core Java. So you can implement business logic here. Now, database code, DAO. Database code, DAO. So here we are going to use JDBC concepts. Here we are going to use JDBC concepts. We covered servlets. Where we use these servlets? We will use servlets in controller part. That is covered. Where we use this JDBC? We will use JDBC in DAO layer. And what about business? Simple core Java knowledge is enough. I said, right? You need to have basic prerequisite of core Java. We need not to relearn that. You know core Java. So core Java is enough to implement your business code. And for views, HTML, we are covering it, right? We covered almost everything. And we understand MVC architecture also, how separately we need to write them. So how to write them separately, that we understand from MVC architecture. And what else left? Servers. Where it includes, sir, where servers are important, sir. So when you implement such application, where do you deploy finally? So application coding is, everything is done, sir. Everything is done. Where should I deploy it? To test your application, where should you deploy it? Test, or you want to run it in production? Where should I deploy it, sir? To deploy and run your application, you need a server. Remember, you need a server. Without server, so far in core Java, without server, you started your application by using main method, but not possible here. Okay, what you need to do end of the day, once you're done with coding, once you implemented all this, right? This code, we will convert it as a WAR file. Let's say your application is something like Amazon. Sir, I created Amazon kind of application. Okay, well and good. So your application, you need to convert it into Amazon.war file. We'll convert into web archive file, WAR file, and we will deploy that WAR file into Tomcat. We'll deploy that WAR file into Tomcat. So once you deploy it into Tomcat only, your application can be started. You need to start this, so your application will be started. So here we are going to use servers. This is what server. Here we are going to use servers. This is what server is. Without server, you cannot run your servlet application. You cannot run your servlet application. So this is what server. So now by using these four concepts, what are they? Once again, I'll repeat. By using HTML, you can implement front end. By using HTML, you can implement front end. By using servlets, you can implement controllers. By using servlets, you can implement controllers. By using simple core Java, you can implement your business logic. Business logic means simple arithmetics, right? And logical operations. You can implement that all arithmetics and logical operations, simple exception handling, everything using core Java. Okay. And coming to database operations, we will use JDBC that we can use in DAO class. So now we covered all four concepts, right? Or four concepts in MVC. By using MVC only, we are going to, by using MVC architecture style only, we are going to implement these applications, right? So finally, MVC is helping us here, this architecture helping us here to separate our classes in a layer wise. To separate our classes layer wise, view separate layer, controller separate layer, model separate layer, right? So finally, MVC helped us here to separate our classes into separate layers. Okay, so that's how it will help us to maintain our code clear. Okay, so clearly you are maintaining your code in a separate layers, and maintenance of your code also simple. Maintenance of your code also simple. If anybody asks you what is the MVC architecture, explain this. Okay, they don't again ask you the same question. Okay, if they ask what is MVC, explain it. Okay, explain it. You understand it very well what is MVC. You understand it very well what is MVC. Okay. So if you have any doubts, repeat this video once again, so you will understand it very clearly. Okay, what is MVC? What is MVC?